Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Show. You know, we've had a great 2 segments so far. First of all, we obviously had the European community represented very well here. Then in the second segment right here, we had the Asian community represented really well here.
On the globe.
And now we're representing the Latin American community. And that's one to my heart. Yay!
We got the margaritas out.
We got the margaritas out and ready to go now.
Chips and salsa, and we're complete.
I was just at Margaritaville last night, so you're
There you go.
So absolutely happy. But, you know, we actually are going to this third segment, and we actually have Luis Tamborrel and we have Danny Merlo, and they are with Temporal Properties. How are y'all doing?
Doing great. Thank you very much, and hope everybody else hearing us is doing fantastic.
You know, let us know a little bit about Temporal Properties, who you are and what you do.
Well, Temporal Properties was formed because we are from Mexico originally, and we know that a lot of needs are people relocating from all Latin America. So we have lived here. I lived here since 1978, and I really knew how this city is growing and changing their population, their way of living, and we decided to make a real estate company focus on the international clientele.
You know, the great thing is if we want to, we can start this whole thing in Spanish now. You know, I mean, obviously Bill and Rob, you guys are a little out of the loop. You know what's funny is every time I walk into a meeting, though, and everyone sees me, they're like, look at that Anglo guy. And then I start speaking fluent Spanish. They're like, whoa, where are you from, right?
But, you know, Luis is in a unique situation because, understand, the culture comes from Latin America, but he's in the Woodlands. And right now, it is exploding. And guess who's buying up there? People from Latin America and Mexico are buying the Woodlands. Talk about that part of the business.
Yes, since several years we have seen, and the Woodlands has becoming a really diversified type of community because not only from Latin America but Europe, we taking care of clients from Bulgaria, from England, from Spain, from Italy, and obviously from Mexico, Venezuela, and all of that. So it really has become a really interesting society like you probably see in California or somewhere else.
You know, I'm always so proud when I go to other cities and I talk about Houston. I said, you know, we are like the most international city, and everybody plays nicely in the sandbox. It's really kind of fun to watch, and I'm really proud of it. I love to be able to go walk on the street and hear, 10 different languages in a restaurant. And I think I heard somewhere we speak over 100 different languages here in Houston. So it's just amazing. And they all come here for one common thing, a lifestyle, affordability, and, of course, business opportunity.
Yeah, and in our case also is the quality of life and security, A lot of clientele we serve are looking really to change their lives and become a real important piece in the community by investing and bringing money and having really develop their families here.
Now, do you also do commercial work as well?
We do some commercial work and more because people are looking for investment in commercial areas.
Tell me what they're typically looking to find when they're buying commercial.
Well, either they find a property where they can develop, like land, and then do a shopping strip, or probably build building or offices.
Are they doing this because they feel like the U.S. or Houston specifically is a safe haven for their investments?
Yeah, many things brings to this. One of them is the dollar, that everybody's kind of really looking for that, for the currency and security on the currency. Also, the work that is coming to Houston. The Woodlands, as you know, is bringing all kinds of different corporations. Exxon is coming, and everybody's kind of growing and looking at the Woodlands. So, yes, they're looking for that security on their investment.
And, one of the things, you talked about, obviously, from Latin America, you see a lot of individuals moving here because of the security issue. And, I grew up in Monterrey, Mexico, so we know the security issue that went on the northern side of Mexico for a long time and has driven a lot of individuals to come here. But what are the typical Latin Americans looking for house-wise? And how does the Woodlands, because let's face it, the Woodlands is one of the top destinations. What does the Woodlands really represent, and why is it driving so many individuals to buy up there? And maybe, Danny, you might want to answer this one.
Well, thank you so much, actually, for the invitation, and hello, everybody. Mainly, I think there's a couple of things. The price point is very affordable for these families. The other thing is the closest to Mexico in the international airport. That helps. That really helps. We're just 2 hours away from Mexico City. We are the second city of the world that has more destinations into the La República Mexicana, the Mexican territory. So that really helps. So we have people from Mexico, we have people from Guadalajara, from Monterrey, from all over. And it's a change in their lifestyle. It's more secure. The investments are more secure per se. The education is a key point. The family-oriented is a key point in the Woodlands. And I think mainly because of the price points that, I mean, you can buy a $300,000 home, very, very well located with great schools, with great shopping centers. I mean, very well located that you cannot afford in Mexico.
No, I would absolutely agree. One of the things that we talked during the break, I've lived in both Mexico City and Monterrey. That's where I grew up. That's where I've lived all my life. And you're right, the one thing that typically speaking happens is in Mexico City, for example, I lived there during a period of 20 million people, which it was still relatively safe. Nowadays, it's not that safe. There's certain areas you have to be very careful around, right? I'll never forget one of the stories that was told to me a couple years ago when I went down there. I was taking off all my jewelry to go out to Plaza Garibaldi, which is a really cool mariachi place, right?
Exactly.
And my friend walks up and goes, "Whoa, you can't go out with nothing on because they rob us and you don't have anything to give them. Then you're going to be in trouble,
Then you're going
right?"
to be in trouble, exactly.
You don't have that in the Woodlands, right? In the Woodlands, you can go out with everything.
That is correct. That is correct. This is a very safe place. And the other neat thing is that it's growing. We are in time of development of the area. So as Luis said, Exxon, the investments that you can make that is very secure. The lifestyle, again, is a very small place with 100,000 people living on it. I mean, it's like heaven. You have everything.
And Luis, from the Latin American perspective, I always like to ask this question because this is an international show. What we're really trying to do is educate people about real estate and why individuals are moving here. But also, if other Latin Americans are listening right now, I see different cultures all the time from my side of things, right? And you have an Asian community that looks for certain things, a home facing northeast, southwest, right? A red door, etc. You have the Indian community that looks for areas of religious worship very close to them. What do you see in the Latin American community that they're looking for in the homes?
Well, many have to change the way we live in Mexico because even in Mexico, most of the master bedrooms are upstairs when you have it here downstairs. So, but they have to adapt to the culture. But what they're looking is for privacy. So many of our Latin America clientele, they look for reserves, for lakes, or something that we don't see in Mexico as often, or you cannot have it because of the security issues. No, for sure the space in here you can afford a bigger house, a larger house than in a city like Mexico City, Monterrey, and all that because of the land is so expensive over there. So they're looking for the space, for the comfort, and for sure for the security. Gated communities, sometimes they feel that they don't need it now, so they love that because their kids can walk into the park. So the mentality changed so much that they leave a lot of things out just because they see what it's offering here, Houston.
One of the things I say, we are so influenced by Mexico, South America, Central America. I would imagine they have a little easier time assimilating it into our culture because Spanish is spoken everywhere. And I think that would be a natural second home for them, is that they have a culture that they're going to be immediately accepted into. And find that?
And that's right. I think Houston has changed so much in the last 30 years that when I arrived here in 78, almost was strange to hear from the native Houstonian to see somebody speaking a different language. But now it's very friendly oriented for any culture. And in the Woodlands, you feel because now there's a society of Latin Americans or Europeans, so you can get together and still keep your culture and also combined with the beautiful U.S. culture that you have.
And isn't that what America's about? Is a blend of, we are a land of immigrants.
No, and you're absolutely right. And what's really neat, for example, I go up to the Woodlands quite a bit because a lot of my friends live up there. And any given day, I can go out to Market Street, I can go down to the quote unquote the River Walk, all the areas right there where the Marriott is, etc. And you will see families congregating. You'll see, the one thing, for example, one of my best friends up in the Woodlands, he said, from Monterey, he said he would not be able to do this in Monterey, and I agree with him because I grew up there. Is his kids go every day in the bike and they go around the park and they go and have a good time. They are living an outdoor lifestyle that they were not able to have in Monterey and that you can't really have because one, security and safety, we talked about that, but a lot of times it just doesn't exist. Unfortunately, the parks and the lakes and the amenities and the traffic they're just not there. In Mexico City, where I love Mexico City, and let me tell you, Mexico City has the best restaurants to me still in the world. Houston might have an abundance of restaurants, Well, let me tell you, Mexico City, there is some great eateries there. And we're getting them here. A couple of them are going up in the Woodlands pretty good. But, the one thing that we don't see is that you can't walk to a lot of places. You can't take your bike to a lot of places.
That is the thing.
And so, I like the fact what you said. There are also a lot of times it's about lifestyle change. It's as much about that.
Having the kids going to school alone in their bikes is like a dream. Because in Mexico, you have to drive for a good school probably 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and in here it's just walking distance, and they feel free.
Well, let's not only say that. It was funny. I have my brother-in-law, all of my wife's family lives in Mexico City. My brother-in-law just got through leaving, and I said, how long does it take you to get to work in the morning? He says, an hour. I said, how far away are you? He said, 5 miles.
Exactly.
That's an example because he's got to go down the hill, but the way he's got to go down the hill is through all this traffic, go all the way down the hill, then make a U-turn, come all the way, like the Machalga, he's not too far away from it, right?
Exactly.
And so it's pretty interesting. Here, an hour, you can get across the city with traffic.
The whole city. That's what we did from the Woodlands to here.
We are going to be coming up against a break again. I got to tell everybody, I'm out to your website. I want you guys to let your website out. But I think it's great because Rob will love this. Is we have both of you in the studio, but you have a beautiful lady actually on your website, by the way.
she is my wife, actually.
Okay,
and she
I
is
figured.
beautiful.
That's what I wanted to find out.
And she's the daughter of Luis, and that's why I'm partner of the company.
That is right. That is
Way
great.
to go, Dan.
Well,
Nepotism is not dead.
That is a way to get to know the father-in-law. Let me
Exactly.
tell you. But that's a perfect example of Mexico, though, is families stick together in life and in business. So how can we reach you if you don't mind?
Well, you can reach us through our website. It's woodlandsnewhomes.com. And also we have tamborrel.com. Or you can call us at 281-813-6027. Anyway, just go there, send us an email, call us. We would love to talk to you.
That is great. That is Temporal Properties. We're coming against a break right now, but we'll be right back.
Thank you so much.